G'day everyone, welcome to another video by myself, Andrew DFT. So in this video I'm going to briefly give an overview on how I go about sealing and painting not only my props but my armor. This video will specifically focus on painting up a Halo Magnum, which is this one here. And this of course was a continuation from my how to Halo Magnum tutorial, which was broken into 3 parts, and if you want to check out, you can find the thumbnail, click on that right there and it'll take you directly to, and you can build this prop yourself. So to quickly give you an idea of what we're looking at, most of my props follow grayscale. I do a lot of Halo UNDERCOAT designs, but this technique, the process can be changed to fit any color scheme you wish, but ideally you're going to take a basic styrofoam prop and you can convert it into the final piece to look quite nice. So let's jump right into it. So to start off, all you're going to need is a basic large enough paintbrush. That can be obtained for a few dollars, and you're not going to need a super fancy one, just one that has nice enough bristles and will get a large enough coverage. And of course, PVA glue. Now the PVA glue, you want some kind of mid-range product, you don't want a very budget one, as it will kind of decide on how well the final sheen slash coverage comes out. I find that the budget ones don't work very well in terms of protecting the foam. Some have actually eaten away at it, which is completely not what you want it to do. So a mid-range like this one costs about $8 to $10, and it will give you exactly what you're after as a final result. So when applying the PVA glue, you don't have to worry about being nice and tidy. You just want to slab it all on and keep it nice and even and really get stuck into those nooks and crannies, so to speak, of the prop. Especially where there's imperfections in the foam or where it's kind of chipped away. Not your fault, but that's just how the foam is made. You want to fill those crevices up to get the PVA glue to kind of soften slash fill it up so that when it dries we can just easily paint on and we won't have to worry about paint chipping or the PVA chipping. Once you've coated the prop and you think it's all done, leave it to dry, give it about 2 hours, then give it a nice little feel and hopefully it's all dry and solidified, and you'll easily get from the first sign how hard this actually has become. If you want to add more coats, you can indeed. Now with any prop that I paint, I always like to look at the reference photos and try pick out at least 4 to 5 different tiers of shades in it. Now luckily enough we're using a UNDERCOAT prop, which is very basic in what kind of colors it has, so we have to go from a nice lighter grey to a very dark one. Not necessarily black. I don't usually like to use black in most of my props. I like to go for a bit more of an offset dark grey. The only reason because it gives it a lot more interest, and especially with the camera picking up the different shades, it just looks a lot nicer. So once you've found that mid color, go ahead and completely just coat the whole prop in it. Like you can see here, I'm using that mid grey. I'm not using a black. I'm using a nice grey because it will allow me to build up levels and the shades a lot nicer rather than a complete black, which you'll be able to see through any imperfections or parts that you didn't coat correctly. Now a lot of people use spray paint in this section. I just prefer to use the basic acrylic paints because I know it's not going to rot away my foam material. Even though I've coated it in 1 layer of PVA glue, I'm not 100% sure or willing to risk the foam deteriorating to the spray paint. So once you've completely coated the prop in that mid-range and let it to dry, we can start building up the extra layers. So we're going to grab that lighter tone. Definitely on this Magnum we've got the nice what would be silver slash metallic look, but of course I prefer to go for a very stylized way of painting, which is using basic flat toned acrylics, because I can always add that metallic look in post-production after my photo shoots or whatever it has been. So here I'm using the nice lighter grey, and you could definitely see the contrast already in those mid-tones to the lighter tones. I'm going to go ahead and just apply it nice enough where I need to build up a detail. As you can see, I'm working on this back section area and not going into the crevices and grooves of that top, what would you call it, slider, because I want those to stand out and give a nice contrast. You can cover those in if you want, as we will grunge and give them detail back later on, but this is just my special preference in applying the detail. And now we can grab a more offset kind of grey. This is taken a bit more darker from the initial top coat that we were just painting, just to give it a bit more of a different shade. The camera will definitely pick it up, and as you can already see, it's starting to look a bit different and just give a nicer design. Of course, when we add in the darker tones, you'll be able to see this a lot more significantly, but for now we can go ahead and start painting parts on this prop in this offset grey. Now of course we've got the handguard here, we've got the handle section, we've also got the front laser sight area, and we've got the bottom of the ammo clip. And now we can start taking in the darker colors. Now I'm going to go with that base grey that I used. Of course it's not black, it's just off black, very dark grey, and I can start painting in all the negative parts that of course haven't been coated yet in the lighter colors, and you can definitely see already that it's starting to contrast quite heavily. Now this little chart shows you exactly pretty much what I did with the colors. Of course we established this back in the beginning of the video, so now you can kind of see where they've been brought across, and now they do look quite effective. Before they of course were just basic colors that we'd pulled apart from the reference, but applying it to the prop we can now see how strong they are, especially on the camera. So now going forward we're going to add all the grunge tones, and then we'll bring out the whites. Now because the prop looks quite clean at the moment, we're going to start grunging it out. So we're going to grab a smaller brush with that nice grunge grey, and we're going to start really getting it into the grooves and crevices of the prop and then smudging it out. It should evenly spread on the foam because the PVA glue is down there. It gives us a nice surface so it won't stick. You can just apply it into those grooves and crevices like I'm doing on the video and just smudge it in. How you go about applying it is really up to you. You can use sponges. I just like to use my thumbs and a brush as it's a lot easier. But the amount as well is up to you. You determine yourself how dirty or war-torn you want this prop to look. I usually go for a not so overdone look, but enough to make it look like it's been in service for a few years in the height of combat or something like that, to blend in with the costumes that go along with it. And of course now you can see one step further from that last chart, we've now got that grunge involved, so it's really starting to bring a life, bring a character to this prop, and bring out the individual sections on the prop itself. And now we can have the fun part of going ahead and really weathering this thing up. Using just a very light tipped white section of the brush, you can go ahead and start scratching on the edges of the prop, which will really bring in the nice details and will start highlighting the edges, which means on camera you'll definitely be able to see the prop looking a lot more alive. Now again, this is up to your own discretion how much white you want to put in. You don't want to overdo it. If you want to substitute white for silver, you can indeed. I like to use white because it definitely stands out more in photography, and you can add the silver effect in later post-production. But that is completely up to you on how much you want to apply. Just be careful, because I don't advise using too much, because then it does become a bit too overdone and fake. So that's it. I hope you guys managed to find it somewhat interesting and you learned something along the way. And remember that that is just the basic technique. You can now go apply your own further skills to put on logos or emblems, or give the gun little individual unique designs to best fit whatever you're going after. So thank you very much guys. Give it a like if you actually enjoyed and learned something from this video, and otherwise I'll catch you later.